What's going on, guys? Today we are back on the channel and we are going to be doing one of my favorite things ever, which is using the Tiermaker website. My name's Eddie and let's get into it. Today we are going to be ranking all of the Scream movies all the way back from Scream 1 back in the 90s, Wes Craven's incredible slasher film, all the way to this year's Scream 7, which a lot of people had a lot of issues with. So let's go through and rank them from my personal favorite to least favorite. Let's get into it. Alright, guys, so you see it on the screen. We have it ranked 1 through 7. Typically, when I use Tiermaker, it's S, A, B, C, D, and F. That's when I'm doing a lot of my ranking videos, but today there's only 7 titles, so I figured why not just put one per number. So that's what we're doing. And I am using a already established tier list. I just changed it from S through F, and I think it was S through D actually on this list specifically, but I changed it and made it 1 through 7. So I could put the link to this down below in the description if you would like to use it. It's gonna look a little different because I changed what it looks like, but nonetheless, let's get into it. So starting at number 7, we're gonna go from my least favorite all the way to my most favorite. Starting with number 7 is actually going to be Scream 7, which a lot of people have been saying it's the worst one. Personally, I agree. Now, by all means, Scream 7 is not a bad movie. They had a lot of issues they had to deal with and go through and change things because certain characters, Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, don't return. Part of that's Paramount's fault. So it's like, hey, you guys kind of wrote yourself into a weird spot. But this 7th movie focuses on, of course, Sidney Prescott and her daughter Tatum, as well as her husband and their friends, their neighbors and, their daughter's friends. Luckily, we get the return of the twins, Randy's cousins, that were in 5 and 6. Gale Weathers is in it a little bit. It's not anything special. It's really it's there. It's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. It's all right. And honestly, for that to be the case in the 7th movie of a horror franchise, good on you, Scream. Because if your worst movie is still an alright movie, that's pretty good. That's pretty good considering a lot of horror franchises have Coming in at number 6 is actually going to be Scream 4. In my opinion, Scream 4 has always had this weird film like overlay. Like, it's got a weird texture to it, man. It makes it feel kind of just of its time. I also think that it was the start of a more brutal Ghostface, like a less comedic, more brutal. There's obviously always going to be comedic tendencies, but it just, I mean, looking at the officers in the car in that point, and then the one girl up in her bedroom, where Ghostface was in the closet, I just feel like some of the kills were a lot more brutal this time around, which obviously they have to do to keep fan engagement, but I just feel like it was like, damn, like some of it was a little too much. Like, there was a cop with a knife literally in his head and he's just like, this sucks, and dies like afterward. Like, it's just possible that it happens that way, but it's just a weird, I don't know, it just didn't feel in place for a Scream movie. That being said, I love seeing Sidney Prescott, especially after a decade of her being away. We see Dewey, we see Gale, we get the incredible Emma Roberts in this movie playing Sidney's cousin. Hayden Panettiere is in this movie. We've got a Culkin in there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. Again, it's a solid movie. It's just not my favorite. It's just there's a lot to it that I just don't really love. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just it exists. Um, the thing I remember about it the most is the beginning scene where it's going through all the different stab movies, and Kristen Bell is in the one, and she's just sitting there on the couch and just goes, sink to the girl next to her, and she's like, "Did you see that one coming, bitch?" That's all I remember. That's all I remember, and I don't think that's what she says. I'm just paraphrasing. Moving on to number 5 is Scream 3. Scream 3 was, for the longest time, and still is, regarded as one of the worst movies in the franchise. Again, still not a bad movie. And it's always kind of had a soft spot for me when most people always put it down at the very bottom. I've always enjoyed it because of the whole Hollywood aspect. I liked that they were getting into the stab movies. I really liked that the movie started with Cotton Weary, and that this killer had this weird voice manipulative device that copied actual people's voices. I really enjoyed that. I will say this movie obviously isn't as good as the movies the four ahead of it, but it's still worth watching. All of these Scream movies are worth watching, 1 through 7. They're not bad movies whatsoever. Um, I like that Dewey and Gale have this real combative situation. Obviously, they were combative in the first one. They were very lovey-dovey in the second. But this third movie, they really were at each other a lot of the time. And I really, really enjoyed that. I loved the actors and actresses being, the roles of their, real life people. Dewey, Gale, all that stuff. I just really loved it. I love that there were actors and actresses. I love that it was a part of a movie set. It really just made the whole thing feel real cool to me. Like, this could really happen. Uh, which I obviously all of this could really happen. It's just a killer killing people. But it just, I don't know. Little kid me watching Scream 3 was like, this is cool. Because this movie came out in 2001? So I was real young. I was born in 99. This movie I probably saw when I was like 8 years old for the first time. And I was just like, this one's real fun. And it is fun. It's fun, especially the whole thing in the mansion at the very end. Finding out the truth about Sydney's mother and Roman being her brother. It really is a good time. And to this day, the only movie where the killer is one person? Pretty cool. Coming in at number 4 is Scream 2. A lot of people hate Scream 2, and I do not understand what the hate is for, because Scream 2 is genuinely a solid sequel to the original movie. Scream 2, obviously, is Sidney Prescott in college. She has gone, a year since everything, and it's, she's trying to adapt back to real life. She's got herself a boyfriend, a new group of friends. Randy followed her to college. She's got a nice roommate. Everything's going good, and then all of a sudden, hell breaks loose. There's another killer, and people in the college start getting targeted, and it is a shit show. I really love what they did in this movie with Sydney's boyfriend, making it like a false killer narrative, because she can't trust her boyfriend, because in the first movie, the killer was her boyfriend. And it's like, oh boy. And then you see what happens in the end where he gets shot in the chest, and you're just like, shit. Did not expect that whatsoever. I really enjoyed that Billy Loomis's mother ended up being one of the killers. Mickey, I mean, he was just, a crazy guy trying to become cool and infamous. The movie doesn't stand in my top 3 because I don't love Dewey and Gale when they're all lovey-dovey. I prefer them when they're at each other's throats. That's just how it is. I prefer them not being happy, I guess. I don't know. I also don't love what they did with my boy Randy, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I thought there were a couple things that were a little ridiculous in this film, but you get over it. I really loved the cameraman, Gale's cameraman in this film. That was really awesome. But one of the ridiculous things that I never understood was the whole Billy Loomis's mom. And at the end, the reason that nobody recognized her was because she had a facelift and she lost weight. And it's like, how do you not fucking know what your boyfriend's mom looked like? The boyfriend's mom of it that killed people and has Gale Weathers. How do you not know the mother of the murderer you wrote a fucking book about? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'd find out. Like, I feel like I would know that my serial killer's mother had a facelift and lost weight. I feel like that's something. I feel like you just know everything. I feel like you'd want to be updated and stuff and just know that stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm insane, but it's just little things like that that I was just like, how do you not know this bitch got skinny? Like, I don't know. And how do you not know? Like, I don't know. It's just a lot of silly stuff in Scream 2. But again, a good movie nonetheless. Oh my god, let me not forget this. Um they crawled all right. They crawled over Ghostface. Sydney and her roommate are in a police car, crawl over a knocked out Ghostface, and instead of grabbing a gun off of one of the officers who Ghostface just murdered, they're idiots. And he ends up, killing the roommate. But it's just it doesn't make sense to me. Um I've always wondered that. Grab a gun and shoot the bastard. But that again, just me. Moving on to number 3, we have Scream 6, which I was really fighting between Scream 2 and Scream 6 on which one I wanted in my top 3, and Scream 6 just cracks the code. This movie is the only movie in the entire franchise without Sidney Prescott in it. It really focuses on the Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera sisters storyline. Of course, Randy's cousins. I forget their last name, and I forget their first names. It's real bad, but it follows them at college after the events of the 5th movie, and I really, really just enjoyed it. Um, it showed that the franchise didn't need Sidney Prescott to have a really, really strong film, but that also was kind of upsetting to a lot of people because Sidney Prescott's that bitch. You know what I mean? Like, no Sidney Prescott's just come on, man. It's just not the vibe. I loved Gale in this film. I loved her entire scene where she fights Ghostface. I love how she's on the phone and her bodyguard or whatever, he's in the background and you just barely see him get like taken off screen by Ghostface. And then I love that when when Ghostface calls her, she goes, "Hold on, I'll be right back." And he's like, "Wait, what? No." And then she calls the phone and she shoots through the wall at him. I really have always liked that scene. I thought that it really made Gale a very smart, strong character, despite her now being in her mid-50s, and I really, really do love that. And I like that they didn't kill her off, especially with what happened in the film beforehand. I'm really glad that she didn't get killed off. I really, 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 really enjoyed this 6th film. Especially the beginning, with what's the actress's name from Ready or Not? Is it, oh god, what is it? Samara Weaving? Is that it? I have to look it up just to confirm. Yeah, it is. I'm a genius. Look at me. Thank God I'm not stupid. Had to look it up in the middle of a video, but I loved her scene in the very beginning of the movie, where you watch Ghostface take off his mask after killing her in the alleyway, and you're like, oh, like we've never seen that happen. And then obviously it's a fake out. I really loved that. I loved the killer reveals at the end of the film. I loved the return of Hayden Panettiere as Kirby from the 4th movie. It was really, really well done. And again, showed us a world where Sydney doesn't need to be the main character. Even if she's just a side character like Gale was, she doesn't need to be the main character. Didn't love that she wasn't in it though. And unfortunately, they had to bring her back for Scream 7 due to what happened with the lead characters in Scream 5 and 6. Well, it's not unfortunate that they had to bring her back. It's just unfortunate that the New Age characters kind of got kicked out. But there's enough New Age characters from Scream 7, like, well, the twins from 5, 6, and now 7, as well as Tatum, Sydney's daughter, that can continue on in future films if Sydney does not want to, which is awesome. So they kind of just like, they didn't retcon the other two characters, but they were just like, all right, we'll leave you behind. Coming in at number 2 is Scream 5, which is the first ever movie in this franchise I watched in movie theaters. I did see Scream 6 and 7 in theaters as well. Scream 5, also known as just Scream, trying to coattail off all the other movies that were getting remakes, requels, whatever, and there's a whole spiel about it in this film. This movie really showed that the franchise isn't dead. It's very much alive. They obviously brought forth Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera. They brought the Randy's twin niece and nephews are in this film. Dylan Minnette plays Officer Judy. Is it Judy? I don't remember. I think it's Judy. Her son. They really have a great cast in this film. I love seeing a now older Sydney, Dewey, Gale. It was a much needed film. Of course, much like Scream 4, Scream 5 had a very violent and dark killer. It was less jokey in a way. I don't know. I feel like Scream 3 and 4 were very jokey, which I guess the first one and second one were as well. I just feel like 4 and 5, it went down a weird area, and 6 as well. And then 7, it's kind of getting back into a jokier area. But Scream 5 really felt dark, and I really felt this feeling of pure emptiness inside. After seeing it in theaters, I felt like I was gutted. I felt like I was stabbed by Ghostface because of course, the death of Dewey, which sucks because that's my favorite character in the entire franchise. Really well done. Really, really, really well done. I loved the killers in this movie. I figured out who they were pretty early on because I'm just somehow a disgusting bastard when it came to that. I don't know how I literally within 20 minutes I was like, they're the killers. It was like, I think it was the first time where I forget the character's name, but the female, the friend, Jenna Ortega's best friend in the movie, she was like, oh, what were you doing? Well, conveniently watching Netflix, while Melissa Barrera's character was attacked. And it was just really funny. It was like, oh, you two are the killers. You're going after one another. It's like you're obviously the killers. Mainly because that's what Billy Loomis and Stu Macher do in the first movie when they're at the water fountain outside the high school early on. And it's just like, I just saw through it. I don't know. It felt very easy to find out who the killers were, but it was still a very great movie. And it was a great return. And maybe this movie I hold so highly because it's the first one I ever saw in theaters. But with that being said, my number 1 is, of course, the original, because you can't beat the original. There's no way you could. The original Scream is just that damn good. From the second the movie starts to the second the movie ends, just mwah. It is one of those movies that it will go down in history as one of the best slasher movies of all time. And there's just no doubt about it. Drew Barrymore at the very beginning, thinking she's going to be the main character, and then all of a sudden she's dead, and you're like, oh, whoa, what happened to my Drew? It really was a great, great movie. Finally finding out that Billy Loomis and Stu Macher are both the killers. Having Randy there telling everybody like, oh, this is how you survive a horror movie. And I love it. I love this scene of, he's right behind you. He's right behind you. And then Ghostface is literally right there, just like, are you fucking kidding me? I love the 30-second delay of the videotape in the final act of the film. That always gets, like, I remember watching that for the first time and being like, oh, like, oh shit, like, no way. It was a very, very well thought out movie, with some great deaths. That one in particular has aged poorly, in my opinion, and that is Tatum's death. It doesn't look great anymore at this point. It looks out of date. And I get it. And it makes sense why they made fun of it in Scary Movie, because looking back, it's not great. But the movie itself is amazing, and I love that now in the later movies, Sydney named her daughter Tatum after, of course, her best friend who died in the first film. Really, Scream 1 is a slasher movie that, in my opinion, it helped an entire generation of new horror fans come into fruition in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's certainly not the movie that made me a big horror fan, but I have to appreciate what it did for the horror world in general. This franchise is incredible, and despite being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, they're all great. They're all one constant story. If you watch one, you'll understand number 2. But if you skip number 2, you won't understand number 3, and so on and so forth. You need to watch every movie to understand everything, and that's what I really do love, especially with 5 and 6. You need to watch the first movie to understand them. It's because of Melissa Barrera's character being related to Billy Loomis. I really love that it's always maintained a single storyline. Unlike a lot of my favorite slasher franchises like Halloween and Friday the 13th, they change. It goes from, it goes from the original where it's, Pamela Voorhees to, all of a sudden Jason's this grown-ass man killer. Then he's all of a sudden an undead killer. We have Tommy Jarvis. We have, I don't even remember anybody else because Tommy Jarvis is the best. But we have different people in different movies. And it's just like, I don't like that. But yeah, guys, that's everything. 1 through 7 of the Scream franchise. I really love these movies. If you ever get the opportunity, if you've never seen them, I just spoiled a hell of a lot for you. But I'm going to say, if you ever get the opportunity to sit down and watch them all in order, you'll really understand that none of these movies are bad. I think that a lot of people give a lot of hate to certain films in this franchise because they only watch the best of the best movies, and they don't sit there and they don't watch certain movies that maybe aren't, incredible. Like, I've seen some sloppy shit. These movies are good movies. So I implore you to check every single one of them out. So that's it, guys. I've ranked every single Scream movie 1 through 7. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up down below. And if you didn't, leave a thumbs down. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.